Hey there. So today, I wanted to go over a little bit my Numpad keyboard. Now, keep in mind, you can also learn and practice this on a regular keyboard. Um, I'm just gonna show all the different uh, key grips I have and layouts. So without further ado, let's get started here. Okay, so we're gonna reset data just so we don't have anything to mess it up. So we got this greeting here. We got our settings. This is the default layout. It's mapped to both sides of this keyboard and to our numpad. So um, this is the chord map. Let's look at the chord map for a second. Okay, so in our chord map, um, if you press B and T at the same time, it makes I. If you press C and R at the same time, it makes. Oh, my bad. So if you press T and I, it makes B. Um, Here, let me do this real quick. So these are the basic homework keys: R N O E A T I L. And then you also have a space key and a shift key. So that's the basic layout there. Um, so now we can look at these chords. So again, to press B, you press T and I. So it's the two middle buttons. Um, let's see. So I'm going to take this off real quick. And let's just say I'm typing like this. So we have RNOEATIL. So this is going to be, let's see, numpad flat. That's the simplest one. So let's change our file to hello. Okay, for some reason. Okay, so this layout is numpad flat. So we have R is the 4, N is the 5, 6. Here, let me pull that back up. So our home row keys, we have R is 4, N is 5, 6 is O, enter is E, then ATIL, and then space is 0 and shift is 3. And then we also have, the layout has extra keys. So these are the home keys, and then these are the extra keys. So the home keys again, RNOEATIL. And then the extra keys are SDWHFY. So this is just, these extra keys are an extra option because there are in fact 15 keys on the keyboard on a numpad, and it's easy to ergonomically have one hand reach that number of keys. Um, so these are just standalone keys that you can map additionally. So you can press S. Here, let's go back to our chord map. So right here we have S. So you can press S with R and O, for example. If you press R and O at the same time, so on numpad flat, it's 4 and 6. If you press 4 and 6 at the same time, it will make R, or rather S. So R and O presses S. But there's the other way to press S is you can just map a single key. So the one key on the Numpad flat layout, the one key is mapped to S. So SD, that's 1, 2. WH is going to be our multiply divide on the Numpad flat, and then F is the minus key up here, and then Y is the period down here. So you have S, D, W, H, F, Y. So those are single standalone keys that make it a little easier to press. Okay. So uh, so right now the keyboard mapper works really well in terms of the software code, but there are bugs in the text editor, but it's more just a training demo program. So this is something I hope to address. But so that's the numpad flat layout. One use case might be if you have a numpad and a cell phone, you can just hold the cell phone and then you can type with one hand on your numpad. So it's a portable typing system. Um, so we can look at that. So here's the map. To press R, you do numpad 4. To press N, you do numpad 5. To press O, you do numpad 6. So these are the home row keys, A, T, I, L. So then we can look at our chord map again. Okay, so these are the keys. So W is A and O, X is N and L. So those are the keys. We also have our digits. Shift R is 1, Shift N is 2. Symbols, less than is pressing L and then R. So that's the top right and bottom left. And that's in order. The thing about chords is you'll notice here we have LR and an RL. So if you have chords for both orders, then the order will matter. But if you only specify a chord for one order, it can do either way. But yeah, so you got all the essential keys here. You even have like shift and control, escape. So if you press E and then space, that's escape. Um, anyway, so let's look at this layout, numpad stacked. So this is actually this is a layout I designed for this grip right here. So you have R is numpad 9, N is numpad 6, O is numpad 5, E is numpad 8. A is the decimal, T is 3, I, L. So it's instead of being laid out in two flat rows, they're sort of folded and stacked. So R, N, O, E, A, T, I, L. And then we have a space right here, 7. Shift is 4. S is our add key. D is enter. W is divide. H is multiply. F is 1 right here, and Y is minus. So let's type with this. Um, so let's just show this R N O E, and then let's do space A T I L, and then so then our extra keys we have S D W H F Y. And this, in my opinion, is the most ergonomic grip for this. I have designed grips where you hold like a normal keyboard, like a controller, and you can do like R N O E A T I L, or like you can even play it like an instrument. This kind of grip. So that's one of the cool things about this corded system. There's just a ton of different grips that you can program because the primary keys, the home keys, there's just 10 of them. Well, yeah. So there's, yeah, 10 keys. Um, it allows you to put it on a lot of different layouts, and then the extra keys are optional. They sort of speed you up a little bit. But that's just type some stuff for score and 7 years ago. R 5. Now, one thing about this, because there's so many different layouts and grips that I've learned, I really have to get warmed up before I can go at full speed. But my typing speed really isn't up to par. But I imagine some of the most useful ways to do this is, let's say you're, it's where it enables wearable computing. It enables portable computing. Like you can have a there's controller grip, which just lets you type like this. So I think this is a pretty useful keyboard innovation. Not as necessarily a mature technology, but at least as a demonstration of what you can do with keyboards, what you can do with generic off-the-shelf keyboards. Like, why don't I just use a normal keyboard like a normal person? I have no idea, but it's just fun. I'm also not one of those people who like has all this really advanced fancy hardware. I just focus on normal hardware you can get and then reprogramming it. Um, I've been working on like Kanata and QMK mappings, but this using this JavaScript based mapping system has been the easiest. 70 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceive. Let's see. In liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Let's see. I'm gonna look up the text so I can copy it. Gettysburg Address. Do. Okay, wow, I totally spelled that. That is crazy. Okay, yeah, that looks suspicious. Conceived in liberty and dedicated the proposition that all men are created equal. Let's do this. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated and long endure. We are met on a great battle field. So they actually did like a hyphen of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do so. Do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. the brave man and dead who draw here have consecrated it. Okay, so that's gonna be about it for today. Again, I think this kind of thing could be very useful for wearable technology, for stuff like VR, like so you have a keyboard readily accessible, so you can type on your phone. You can use a normal keyboard one-handed, or you could use a numpad one-handed. You can use a numpad and a controller grip. You can use a full keyboard in a controller grip like this, so that you don't need a surface. But I think it's very useful. It's a lot of fun to learn this. I spent a lot of time working on this, working on the language for defining the key maps. So the tools are developed so that you can come up with your own system that's similar. Again, this is focused on bichords, so it's at most two keys pressed at once, and the order can matter. Um, it's a very simple language. You have the output, and then the rest of the line is the input until the semicolons. If you need to map an actual semicolon, let's see where. Uh, you you have these escape keys like right here. So to type semicolon, it's space R, but there's that escape key right there. Um, we have to escape the escape key. Anyway, so yeah, this is my layout. I call the keyboard system Numpad Adventure. Yeah, I've been working on it for a long time. It's a really fun project, but that's just another demo here today.